yeah, like no one messages you asking to like take you out on date and stuff anymore. It's all about just.
Do you want to get married?
No.
Do you think she'll stick around if the connection is mediocre but the lifestyle is top notch?
I think some women would, not many, but I think some women that would just happily settle for something like that and just give up in life.
Yo guys, welcome back to another episode on my channel. I'm sitting in this spot, which means I have a great conversation lined up for you today. You know, on this channel, we like to talk about all things dating and relationships and seeing what we can do to attract the kind of person we want. So without further ado, please welcome Carmen to the show.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
She's come a long way. We appreciate you making the effort to be with us.
Only 5 hours.
Only 5 hours down. We better make this a good conversation. We better make it good. Well, listen, I like to jump straight in. So to start with, tell us your age or your age range, asking a lady her age, and tell us one thing a guy should know about you if he wants to take you on a date.
I am 31 years old.
Okay.
And take me on a date as long as you just give me good food. Good
food
place. I'm a proper foodie, so.
You're a proper foodie? You sure? Because I asked her what she had to eat today and all she said was salad.
I was in a rush.
Yeah, she was in a rush, to be fair. She was in a rush. Okay, so a place of like good food. Do you like finer cuisine or do you have like a type of food that you really
Anything
like?
at all. As long as they don't put olives on my plate, I'm happy.
Okay, so no Nando's then.
Oh, I love a Nando's.
You love a Nando's?
Yeah, butterfly chicken, medium.
Yeah, medium.
Yeah.
Nah, we're all about that extra hot over
Got
here.
a bit of spice.
We love it. We love it. Okay, well, she came prepared. We love it when a guest comes prepared. So you have a few things you want to chat about today.
I
so
do.
I'll give the floor to you first.
Yeah.
What would you like to start with?
My question is ghosting. There's a lot of ghosting going on these days.
Yeah.
The dating scene isn't like what it used to be.
Okay.
So I feel like people tend to be texting, meeting up, sleeping together.
Mm-hmm.
They have a situationship. They don't date anymore.
Very true.
And as soon as they tend to get their own way and they sleep with you, they just ghost you. There's a lot of that going on these days.
Very true. Okay, let me ask you a question. Have you ever ghosted a guy before? A guy that you were texting?
Years ago, yes, but not anymore. I've got more polite.
Oh, have you? Will you be like, I'm just like, imagine if you went on a date with a guy and you were texting?
I'm very honest. So if I'm just after a bit of fun, I just want to sleep with someone, I'm too busy to commit with anyone. I tell them straight away, I'm very honest, just say, look, I'm just looking for a bit of fun. Nothing serious. If we sleep together, then yeah, but I'm not looking for anything long term.
I bet that goes down really well with some men.
It does, yeah. I've never had a problem with it.
Yeah.
But I feel like men tend to love bomb a woman.
I've heard this before. Like they tend to, what's the quickest you've been love bombed before?
So guys tend to come across as though, they're falling for you pretty quickly.
Yeah.
They make out you're very different to everyone else. You're beautiful and stunning and you're something that they're looking for.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they finally, meet up with you and they sleep with you, you don't hear from them again.
Ah, okay.
Ghosting and love bombing.
Yeah, of course. So have you had a guy love bomb you before meeting you? No, surely you haven't.
Yes, many of times.
Really?
Yeah.
Without even talking on the phone or having like a FaceTime?
All the time.
All the time?
Yeah.
And they're like, I love you, Carmen. You are for me.
They always say I could fall in love with you.
Interesting.
I think because of my social media.
Yeah.
They tend to fall in love with my social media.
Right.
So they don't really know who I really am as a person behind the whole social media, because I do obviously a lot of glamour modeling and stuff.
Okay.
So they tend to fall in love with that. But I think it's more of like a fantasy to them.
Yes.
More than anything.
Do you think part of your social media, because obviously it's content, you know, selling stuff, marketing, is there a little bit of kind of fantasy play in there that you think guys fall in love with?
Yes, definitely. I think it's the kind of, the lonely guys where they just want to kind of browse on the more exposed page of a woman than on social media.
Yes.
Or it's like tends to be people's boyfriends and husbands.
Very true.
Yeah, it's not nice at all. So I feel like they're more attracted to my page.
Yeah.
And they don't really know me as a person. So they tend to fall in love with the whole fantasy.
They fall in love with the idea of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that. So is a general thing that you found is that you'll be talking to a guy and then you'll meet up with him, you'll sleep together and then you don't hear from him.
Yeah, I feel like they're just upping their numbers and just to gossip.
Yeah, it is a thing. I mean, some guys are just looking to just have fun. That is true. A lot of guys will, say what they think the woman wants to hear to get her to a point that she's going to be intimate with him.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, do you tend to have sex on the first date quite often or no?
Sometimes, depends on what the vibe is.
Okay, so what I want to ask you is there a correlation between how quickly you sleep with a guy to when he ghosts you and kind of distance himself?
Yeah, so it does tend to happen pretty quick because I just vibe with people quite well. And if I vibe with them, I won't go as far as dating unless I vibe with them first.
Sure.
I'm just one of these people where if I vibe with people, I'm quite intense. I like to get it out emotionally, physically if I vibe with someone. That's probably my mistake because I move quite quick.
Yeah. So when you say you'd only date with someone you vibe with, do you mean you'd only go on a first date with someone you vibe with?
Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously kind of if you vibe with them on the date, you're like, yeah, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you notice a correlation, what do you think the reason is then?
I need to calm down a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
I need to make them work for it.
Yeah, I think it's one thing I always say, if you're just looking for fun, then that's obviously going to work for you, right?
Yeah.
That's going to work really well. But if you're looking for something serious, it's about building the physical intimacy as you're building the emotional intimacy. Because guys have what I call lust goggles, which is where, as in lust through their heads, right? So when you have beer goggles, and it's like, oh, I was drunk. And then you wake up next to the person you spent the night with. And you're like, if I was sober, I probably wouldn't have gone there. Right?
Yeah.
Guys have lust goggles, especially if they've seen your page, right? And you've got this glam stuff, like sexy, provocative photos and stuff like that. They've already pictured themselves being with you. They've built this fantasy in their head. And that's all the lust goggles, right?
Yeah.
But guys only know whether they actually like who someone is after they've had sex with them.
Yeah.
So it's like after he has sex with a girl, the lust goggles come off and he goes, oh, I actually really like her. Oh, I was just really sexually attracted to her.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, there is an element of, I'm not surprised that there's a correlation between how quickly you slept with a guy compared to him kind of distancing himself, realizing maybe he doesn't like you as much as maybe he thought. Because if you sleep really quickly with a guy, you haven't allowed the space for him to get to know and to like you because he doesn't know you.
Yeah.
I know you can text and talk like that, but texting for a couple of weeks and then having a conversation where you're sharing energy.
You're not really building that connection, are you?
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's about giving yourself the space for him to fall for who you are. And then when you do have sex and you are intimate, and the lust goggles come off, he goes, crap, man, I really like this person.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just because, and I get, we live in sexually liberated times and stuff. And while there's, we shouldn't have judgment or shame around it, there is still a level of responsibility when it comes to our relationship with sex, especially when we share that with someone.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I feel like dating's just so weird these days.
What was dating like before and what's it gotten to now in your opinion?
Because I'm a 90s child.
Yeah.
Dating, they would just message you and just say, right, I'm taking you out to a restaurant. I'm going to take you here. I'm going to take you there.
Yeah.
Let's do these fun activities.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, I'll just bump into you on a night out or I'll just pop over to your house quickly or let's just get a hotel. There's no building the connection, really getting to know each other.
Yeah.
It's like, I was in a 7-year relationship.
Wow.
And we were very old school and it was pure love. It was going out on dates all the time. It was really building that connection. So for 6 whole years, I've been in this long-term relationship.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, he passed away 1.5 years ago.
I'm so sorry.
So now I've come out into this dating world.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, what has happened to this generation?
What's happened? It's all changed.
It's weird. Like no one messages you asking to take you out on date and stuff anymore. It's all about just...
Yeah.
friends with benefits.
Yeah, of course.
That's everyone's attitude these days.
Yeah. I think 2 things to that. One, I think you coming into the dating market and landscape then and be like, wow, every guy's just trying to hook up is a reflection of how sexual we've become as a society and as a culture. and how sexually free we've become. We place less value on the sex, which is why we're easier to kind of just have it very casually. But the second thing is, I know you're saying that, oh, guys aren't messaging to take you out, they're just messaging to come over or get a hotel. But you don't have to accept that behavior from them, because people treat you how you allow them to treat you.
Yeah.
So if you have that standard, you go, hey, look, I'm open to this going somewhere, but it's really important for me that I get to know you a little bit first. Yeah. And that can be your standard. And so the guys who are just looking to fuck around, to just have a one night stand and then ghost you,
they can all just vanish.
Right. They're going to very quickly be filtered out. And the guys who are actually, I want to get to know who Carmen is, right? Even though I am obviously attracted to her at the same time, they'll be like, cool, yeah, let's go bowling and then go for a walk, or let's grab a coffee, or let's go to Winter Wonderland. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't have to accept that behavior from men. You can have that standard for yourself. And it's about communicating it in a way that is inviting. That I think is the difference between saying like, no, if you want to take me out, you have to spend £300. Because I think some girls who have been burned before, they take that approach, and I understand where that comes from, but actually
they're
doesn't help
testing it
them
too much.
Yeah, it seems to, for guys, I think they find that very, it's like he has to pay for the mistakes another guy did.
Yeah, they've got to suffer the consequences for what the damage someone else has done.
Do you know what I mean? And so guys are like, you're too jaded for me to start something with you.
It's kind of like women that are attracted to red flags. Because like those women attracted to red flags, they go for those type of men because it's all they're used to. And then as soon as they meet a nice guy and they're thinking, gosh, this feels weird, this guy's actually been nice to me, they want to treat me, and it makes you feel quite uncomfortable. So they take a step back and they tend to stick with the red flags because it's all they've ever known.
Do you think that's all they've ever known, or that's just all they've ever chosen?
Bit of both.
Yeah?
Yeah, they chose it, and then sometimes you get trapped in that situation.
Because I think if you're an attractive woman, you have a lot of options, especially today. Do you know what I mean? Have you ever been attracted to red flags before?
All the time.
Yeah, like what?
It does my head in.
Tell us, like what?
Just, the ghosting, man. And they like love bomb you all the time. They're like bad boys. They're charming, cheeky. They got a bit of a wild side to them.
Do you have a type?
Personality wise, they've got to be quite out there. They've got to stand out from everyone else. Quite hyper.
Yeah.
Gym freak kind of guy.
Yeah.
Adventurous guy. I don't really go for the quiet ones. Like I get all the really nice, sweet, quiet ones coming up to me. They ask me to go on a date.
Okay, so you are getting those offers, but you're not choosing those, Carmen.
It feels weird when they're nice. Like, I'm not used to it. And then as soon as they're nice, I'm like, oh my God, am I like falling into a trap here, or?
So wait, let me get this right. The bad boys who have the red flags, you indulge your attention and time with them. Yeah. But the guys who come with you and want to be nice, you're like, that's too different. That's not for me.
Yeah.
Why do you do that to yourself?
I'm trying really hard. I've forced myself to be like, right, this guy's actually really nice and genuine. I'm going to go out on a date. But they're just too quiet and chilled for me. I need someone I'm so used to very hyperactive, crazy men.
Do you find that you have very intense chemistry with those kind of men?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think sometimes, a lot of us, I've been guilty of this as well. In dating today, we chase that spark, that chemistry. But that's all that is.
Yeah.
It's not companionship. It's not friendship. It's not even respect. It's just chemistry.
Toxic chemistry.
It can be toxic. It can be toxic chemistry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always say that we should always go on 2 dates with someone. Because the first date, they may be a bit nervous. Maybe he was quiet because he met you. He was like, oh, wow, she's like really gorgeous. How much, it's a bit intimidating, right?
Yeah.
It could be, it could be just first date nerves. It could be just that day. The second date, you've already built more of a rapport. So you should be more comfortable, and it should be a nicer time for both of you. With a lot of guys who are very out there, very confident, very extroverted, they're very used to quickly initiating that chemistry and engagement with someone.
Yeah, they're very good at it.
Yeah.
That's where love bombing comes in.
That is mad that guys love bombing on the first date. That is crazy though.
Yeah. I think
I've never heard that
it's
quick.
just because of my social media. It's just this fantasy that they have over it.
Do you have a certain, if somebody approaches you like to ask you out from your social media,
Yeah.
do you have a level of, when I say expectation of the kind of guy they are, you're like, he's found my social media, so he's probably going to be something like this. Does that ever happen?
Yeah, I do. I do like, I've got like a bit of a brick wall built up. So when anyone tends to message me through my social media, I just kind of shut them off quickly. Because I think, you don't like, I only tend to date people that I know in real life, like that I've actually met.
Yeah, of course.
Not over social media. Because I just think, you're literally just wanting to date me because you've seen, obviously, you know, I'm in my bikini, lingerie and stuff on my page.
Yeah.
So they are going to obviously ask me for the wrong reasons. So I just don't interact with them.
When you say the wrong reasons, what are those reasons, do you think?
They just want to sleep with me.
So if a guy meets you at a bar and he approaches you, why do you think he's approaching you?
I think all men approach you because they want to sleep with you anyway. That's the first thing on their mind.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's physically attracted to you.
Yeah.
I guess, so what is the difference in your eyes between a guy who approaches you from Instagram and a guy who approaches you from a bar?
So I've got more clothes on in a bar.
It's a very fair point. It's a very, very fair point.
And I don't think they know my whole like history. Like I'm more of a quiet girl in real life. And I think on social media, I'm very much out there.
Yeah.
You can see like my skin on show and everything. And it's like more of a fantasy. Whereas in a bar, they don't know that I'm not big on social media, but I've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of men kind of use that to kind of brag about if they meet up with me, because it's happened before in the past.
Oh, really? Where they'd be like, I'm meeting up with this girl.
Yeah. And they start like, I've seen screenshots of my social media, like in people's messages saying, look at this girl I've been talking to and sleeping with. Whereas in real life,
interesting,
I don't really show them my social media. I just try and let them kind of know me for who I am as a person.
Yeah, of course. How does that make you feel when a guy is kind of using your platform or using the status, because you've built a platform for yourself.
Yeah.
You've got a level of status in your industry.
Yeah.
So how does that make you feel when he's kind of using that as credit to him? Because I think some guys, if it was them, like if a girl's like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to Kit or whatever.
Yeah.
That would make me go, like she really sees me as something enough for her to brag about.
Yeah.
I've had that once or twice. But I think some guys would take it as a compliment, but I guess I don't know what it's like on the other foot.
I take it as a compliment, but then at the same time, I just want someone to just get to know me.
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm quite an out there, bubbly person, but chill at the same time. So like, I've noticed when men actually meet up with me and they get to know me, they always say I'm quite an infectious person and they just want to know more and more about me.
Yeah.
But whereas when there's men that just won't even give me a chance to like show my personality, they just go against the pictures on my social media and I just feel like I'm just an object to them.
How much do you feel that your social media profile hinders a certain level of romantic attention from men?
So much, a lot.
Really?
Yeah. It makes me think, why on earth have I even done this on social media? Because I've already got a reputation on social media.
Yeah, I hear that. What's one thing guys do get wrong about you? Because even if you're like, you talk with them and you're quite intense with them, and even if you are intimate with them, you know, quite early on, what do they get wrong about you?
They always say that they found me quite intimidating. They're too afraid to approach me.
As in real life?
In real life, yeah. But then as soon
most
as
guys are, yeah.
they let me actually start talking to someone, having a conversation,
yeah,
they always turn around and say, you're actually a really sound girl. And they want to like know more and more about me and they want to talk to me a lot more.
Yeah.
Whereas I get it all the time. The amount of times after I've spoken to guys, I kind of force the conversation out of them because I can tell they're just scared of me. So I'm not going to bite.
Yeah.
So,
she's like, not unless you want to. Unless you want me to. That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
But I guess it's, if you are like a glam kind of model, kind of influencer in that sense, I guess most guys just feel that you're just way out of their league. So they're like, why would I even try?
So it's frustrating. It frustrates me so much.
What frustrates you that guys won't try with you?
Yeah, because it's just like, I'm not scary at all. I go on nights out, for example, I've got a big group of girls with me.
Yes.
And they're getting all these men coming up talking to them, and I'm always sat in the corner just like, oh.
Why do you think they're talking to them and not you?
I have asked. I've literally gone up and I'm like, why are you guys not talking to me? And they're like, because you're scary. And then my friends, obviously, they always say, oh, she's not actually scary. Men find her quite scary all the time because they say it's the way I look.
Yep.
Or like a couple of lads I've heard recently to other people, they said, oh gosh, she's like really scary. She's like really pretty. And I go in the gym and people are too afraid to talk to me.
Do you want people to approach you in the gym? Because I feel like we see a lot of stuff on social media of girls being like, don't talk to me in the gym. And guys
I love
creeping.
the gym to like communicate with people. It's like a community as well.
You're right.
And I spend so much time there. I always speak to people. I love it.
So would you be open to a guy approaching you while you're like in the middle of a squat session?
Yeah, because I find it ballsy and no one's ballsy these days.
Interesting. That's a good point. Yeah, most guys are terrified to approach, mainly because one, especially the young generation, they're growing up on social media. You know, so like when I was growing up, I was out with my friends every single day, right? I'm a 90s baby as well. But I feel even my sister generation, she's only 5 years younger than me, they were all in their phones.
Yeah.
Like all in their phones, all about being online and stuff. So one, people have less social communication skills in general. Two, more men struggle in terms of dating than women. Like most guys really don't get any attention. So not only are they kind of socially handicapped, but also they don't even get the opportunity to engage with women because most women don't even look their way. Hence, she's not looking at nice guys. Right. And so what ends up happening is the only guys who are going to be approaching you are the guys that A, approach every girl, or B, the guys that are so used to having casual things with women like you.
Yeah.
That's the only kind of attention that you get.
They do use social media a lot. Like they'll send the heart emoji and the flame emoji to your story or like that, for example. And then you see them in the gym, for example, and they literally won't even look at you. They're like straight down at the floor.
Wait, so you've had a guy who you know in real life, like reply to one of your stories, but then you saw him and he just wouldn't say anything.
He can't even look at me. There's been a few of them.
Interesting. Wow, you really are intimidating, huh?
They literally won't come near me. So.
I mean, I guess I understand why. I mean, you know, you're very confident, you hold yourself well. I mean, look at the way, I mean, I tried to get her to sit comfy in the sofa, but she was like, nah, posture, I'm here. I'm ready, Vanguard.
I'm not sitting back.
Not sitting back at all. And me, I'm just like, well, it's my place. Maybe it's because I'm more comfortable. I hear that. What's something else you want to ask? Talk about?
Well, I was going to ask about the intimidation. Why do men find, so you're a successful woman, you own your own house, you've got a nice like car. Why do men find that so intimidating?
So, generally speaking, men don't find the success of successful women intimidating. Usually, it is the energy that she carries that for most men just find quite masculine. Because if you're going to be a successful person in any industry, right, you have to be quite dominant. You have to be quite alpha. You have to be quite a go-getter, right, in most industries. So, because no one's just going to say, hey, come and take the top position. Or, hey, come and take the top spot in this competition. No one's going to do that, right? Yeah. So anyone who's successful is likely to become successful, they have to be quite in their masculine. And so what I found, especially because this stereotypical archetype of my typical client is like a successful woman in her 30s trying to find a man on her level, is that they sit in that masculine energy from their professional work in their romantic life. And if you're wanting to attract a quote unquote masculine, strong masculine man, that's just not going to attract him. You're going to attract the feminine men because the masculine attracts the feminine and the feminine attracts the masculine.
Mummy's boys.
You could say mummy's boys, but I mean, you're going to attract guys who they're not on their shit.
Yeah.
They look to you for guidance. They look to you to hold frame. They look to you to sort the plan. So generally, I would say that's the case. Now, there is an element of maybe a few guys might be intimidated by the level that you're at. And I think a big reason of that is because if they feel that they can't provide that for you, the level that you're at, they feel that you will never choose them.
Yeah, demasculates them a bit.
Yeah, I guess so. You could say demasculated, but it's just kind of more, because we hear a lot of the time, generally speaking, women want a guy on their level or above.
Yeah.
Would you like a guy on your level or above, or would you
Yeah.
happily take a guy? Would you date down?
I used to, but I've got to the point where I'm sick of covering everything for
Right, exactly.
for them.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, if they're like, oh, well, I'm not on her level, why would I even try? And I don't even think it's like an intimidation thing. It's kind of like, well, if this job position requires me to have 10 years experience and I've only got 1 year, what's the point of me applying?
Yeah.
It's not that they're intimidated by it. They just think, I don't have a chance, so what's the point in trying?
God, it's so hard to date in your 30s because you're successful at that stage when you're in your 30s. You've done everything. You finally got to where you want to be. And then there's not many single people left. They're all like married. They got kids.
That's a good point.
And the people that's left is either much younger that just want to use you, or you've got the lot older, which there's a lot of rich single men out there, but they're not very emotionally attached. They're quite, because they're so busy, they're 100 miles an hour. They don't have time to even build a connection. So it's hard even dating them because you can't really build a connection with them. They just want a pretty girl just to stand next to them while they've got their building their empire.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, you've had success, right? So I'm guessing you're quite busy yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So those guys are the equivalent to you.
Yeah.
So essentially you can't even be looking for you couldn't even date you.
No, I can't.
If you met a male equivalent of you, which no doubt you have, it wouldn't work because like you said, you're looking for a guy to slot into your life. He's looking for a woman to slot into his life. So I guess the question I'd ask you is, if you had to choose one, would you rather a guy slots into your life or you slot into his?
Neither. I'd rather both of us just...
But then you said that if they're just as busy as you, you're not going to have as much time as you would like.
Yeah. That's if like... So, well, I'm too busy to date anyway, but... But before when
the guys I'm interested in, they're just too busy. Like, that's really annoying. But I'm too busy as well.
But before my life got a bit hectic, I was, dating the higher class men where they've got businesses, they've got a massive empire that they're building, they've got loads of money. Yeah. But they reel you in, and then they'll like believe that they're falling for you and stuff. But emotionally, you could tell they just can't connect. But that's where the love bombing comes into it. That's what they do, these businessmen. Because they're not honest. They're like, look, I'm too busy. I just want something casual. Yep. Whereas they kind of trick you into thinking that they want to take you around the world. They want to like buy you a house or get you to move in the long run. They talk about all these things, whereas you could tell they're just not emotionally connected whatsoever. Right.
I mean, yeah, if a guy's lying, then that's wrong. That is wrong. But you didn't answer my question. Because you either slot into a guy's life, you're both really busy where you don't have that as much time, or he slots into your life. Because unless you're willing to take a step back from your business.
Never.
Well then.
And he never would either. So it just wouldn't work.
Well, yeah. I mean, but then you have to choose, right? You have to, because, a quote I'm in love with right now is, you can have anything you want, but you can't have everything you want. Yeah. Because there's always two sides to every coin. So what you're finding is, I want a guy who's super ambitious and super driven. Great. But that guy's not going to have as much time for you because that kind of guy prioritizes his industry, his business, and his career. Equally, if you're like, I want a guy who has enough time to build that emotional connection with me as much as I would like to, completely fair. But it means that guy probably isn't as driven, probably isn't as ambitious, and he probably isn't on the same level as you are. So you have to choose, okay, for every attractive quality, and this goes for everything, right? And guys have to accept this as well. For every attractive quality that we want in someone, there is a flip side to that coin. Under different circumstances, it can be something that we have to tolerate. Sounds like the wrong word, but that we have to accept. So for guys, a common one, I'm like, I want to date an Insta baddie. I want to date a model. I want to date a girl who's gorgeous, really sexy, all of this stuff. Great. But I don't like it that guys are sliding into DMs. I don't like it that she's posting, provocative stuff. I don't like it that when she goes out, guys are always hitting on her. It's like, well, bro, if you're going to be with that kind of girl, that's what comes with it.
It's expected, yeah.
You have to accept that. So what are you willing to accept?
Depends on whether it's my dream. Like if my business that I'm doing is my dream, my goals,
Yeah.
I'd never give it up. I'd rather like walk away.
Okay.
But say if, he's built this massive empire and I'm just doing an everyday job, I would give up my time with my job to be with him if I am in love with him. Because obviously then you feel like you've got that safety net there.
Yeah.
Like he's, I'm quite a strong woman behind a man. I always push them to achieve their goals anyway. I'm quite good like that.
Yeah, sure.
So like, if I wasn't really doing anything that had anything to do with my goals and my dreams, then yeah, I would give up that time to be with someone.
So I guess, is there a middle ground where you're not giving up entirely what you're doing, but you are taking a step back because you're starting to prioritize the relationship that you want?
Yeah.
Would you do that?
Yeah. If I know that he is genuine, he really loves me and we'll support each other, then...
Well, you don't know because in life there's risk.
Oh, now that is a risk.
Right? And no risk, no reward, right?
That's why I take a step back. I won't give everything up.
No, don't give everything back. But like, just taking a step back, like if you've been dating a guy for a few months and he's like, hey, I want to, I'm going on this business trip for a week. I really want you to come. And you've got maybe one of your events. You've got a choice to make.
Depends on which one brings you more benefit in life.
Well, it depends on what.
Financially.
Well, I guess it depends what benefit you want. If you're talking financial benefit, you'd prioritize the event that you've been invited to. But if you're prioritizing the relation benefit, and if you see it as a foundation for your future, wouldn't you choose that?
That's a tough one.
These are things you have to think about.
Oh, life's too short. Just go off and enjoy yourself.
I completely agree. Completely concur. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Why do you think marriage works less today than before?
Social media. Everyone's looking for the better thing constantly.
It's very true. Very true. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
As we say. Do you want to get married?
No.
No?
No, I wanted to get married once with
your previous partner.
My previous partner. But since it's a bit different with me because I've been very lucky. I've experienced real love. It was intense love for 6 full-on years.
Yeah.
It was the best relationship ever. But because obviously he's passed away, in my head, it's going to take a lot for a guy to make up for what I had with this other guy. So to me, I wouldn't want to get married.
Do you think you will always be comparing any girl you meet to your relationship with him?
I'm working on that. I'm trying not to.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm never going to give anyone a chance otherwise, or myself a chance again.
Do you feel like you're looking for the same thing? That level that kind of love and intensity?
Yeah.
I get that. And obviously I completely empathize because that's very difficult to lose a partner.
I think that's why going for like red flags now, because before him, 6 years ago, that's all I went with was red flags. All my ex-relationships, they were red flags. I think that's why I kind of rewinded and I'm going back to red flags again. Because I just know that.
What made you choose him then? Did he have those red flags? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, well, fair enough. There you go.
But it's weird. You just switched and we worked together and we made it work. He was he was perfect. He was amazing.
Yeah. Okay. This comes from a place of love. You're never going to find that kind of thing again, because every relationship we have is unique to that person. That's not saying you can't find a great love with someone else, but it is going to be different.
Yeah. And
I think the sooner we can accept that, because especially when we've been in love before and it didn't work out for whatever reason, right? Obviously, this instance, it wasn't anyone's choice.
Yeah.
But when we've been in love before and it doesn't work because of circumstances or because sometimes we realize people are great lovers for us, but they're not great life partners or whatever it is, we often are trying to search for that same level of magnitude and that type and that flavor again.
It's like an addiction, isn't it? You just keep chasing and chasing.
Yeah. But we never find it.
No.
Because every person is unique.
Yeah.
And every relationship we have is unique. The relationship, you have 2 parents, but the relationship you have with your father is a bit different to the relationship you have with your mother.
Yeah.
This is what everybody finds, right? You don't love either of them any less.
Yeah.
But it is different. So I think the sooner we can accept that okay, I'm not going to find that again, but I can still find something really good for me. Something that I'm happy with and fulfilled with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make
That's how I'm
sense?
working on it.
I get that.
I'm trying to adjust.
Yeah, you gonna give some nice guys a chance.
I have tried. I will continue trying.
That's a big fat no. Oh my gosh. What's something else you'd like to ask? You want to bring?
Why do men always look for something better? I feel like that's a big thing recently. I know partly because of social media, but do you think there's anything else behind it?
When you say better in what sense?
So I feel like obviously social media plays a part in it, but you've got all these beautiful women all over social media. There's a trend that everyone's following at the moment where you've got to have a specific look. You've got to have the big boobs and skinny body, big bum and everything. And I feel like it's become obsessive.
Yep.
So I feel like men, I do hear them commenting a lot as well, saying that, oh, they're not as good as that person on social media, or like they're always going on about comparing constantly.
Yeah. If you're talking for casual sex, then I guess maybe, yeah, because he's not taking that girl seriously. If you're talking for a relationship, men will actually massively go down in looks for personality. If he's like, she has the kind of character and she's the kind of person that I want to be in a relationship with, she doesn't have to have the biggest boobs, tightest waist, biggest bum. Because for that, like, for a lot of guys, if they can, desirable guys, right? A lot of the time, that's just play for him.
Yeah.
He's not choosing those girls because he's like, I see you as the mother of my children. Or I see you because I can see us being together in 10 years, getting somewhere together or traveling the world or whatever.
Yeah.
So the looking for something better is like, it's like we all like junk food, but that's not what we cook at home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And a lot of the time, what we cook at home, maybe I can just speak for myself. No, wait, I'm an okay cook. I'm biased. What we cook at home can sometimes doesn't give the initial craving hit that junk food would.
Yeah.
So like, we've been on a night out, you're like, I just feel some fried chicken. You just get that greasy chicken or you get that greasy kebab and it just goes down a treat, right? As opposed to cooking fish with broccoli after a gym session.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So those different types of meals are for very different purposes in his life. And so guys comparing girls online, being like, oh, but she's got a great body and yeah, but her body's this. It's just for sex.
Yeah.
Like he's not comparing because he doesn't know who these girls are. He's not going, oh, well, she looked like she could be a great wife, but she looks like she could be a great girlfriend too. Like it's not that. And actually, and it's funny because a lot of the time, I've seen this happen a few times where a woman who's very one of those Insta girls will be dating a guy and maybe, she wants something serious, but then, it doesn't go anywhere. And then he gets into a relationship and the girl he's with is much more normal looking.
Yeah.
She's not like crazy up here. She's attractive, but she's not like, and she's like, what the fuck? Like, but look at all this. Look what I have. Do you know what I mean? But it's like all of this as a priority is great for something more chilled and fun. But for a relationship, they look for something deeper than that. Do you know what I mean? But let me ask you, a lot of guys feel like girls are comparing on social media, especially guys' lifestyle, right? Like, oh, I'm with this guy, but this guy has more followers. He travels more. He's in a nicer car. Is that something that women do?
Definitely.
They do?
I think because it's all these reels and just social media posts about traveling, exploring the world. There's this new craze over the life in Dubai as well. These men in these big, massive Lamborghinis and they've got all these Louis Vuitton and Rolex watches and they're like splashing the cash. Obviously, women are thinking, oh my God, that'd be the dream. Yeah. And then you've got the woman posting stuff about being, my life out in Dubai with my new man out there. She's sat in the passenger with her hair flowing with like a soft top roof. Yeah. And all the other girls are going to look at her and think, oh gosh, she's so lucky. And then you look at the men like in your local area, like, oh.
It's true. So do you think, why is that life very attractive to women, do you think?
It's like luxury. I think everyone wants a bit of luxury in life. And it looks more relaxed. Like you go to your 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
Not many people are treated very nice in their jobs these days, and well, all the time anyway.
Yeah, very true.
And it's tough, and living expenses so difficult out there. Like the expense has gone so high.
Yeah.
To the point where everyone's looking at this perfect, luxurious life on social media, and you're sitting there dreaming at night with your, I don't know, your cheap little pot noodle because it's all you can afford, and you're watching these women and they just look so beautiful and so lucky, and you just admire what they've got and you just want it as well.
Yeah. You know, most of that isn't real though. When I say real, the watch might be real, the bar might be real, the shisha might be real, but the happiness isn't real.
Yeah.
Because I have family in Dubai, so I've traveled there quite a lot, right? And it's a very extravagant place. It very much is. When you think it was desert 30 years ago, it's pretty incredible what they've done.
Yeah.
But there's no soul there in terms of like half the buildings are empty. Yes, a lot of people, there's the haves and have-nots, right? So a lot of people there have money, and then you have the like labor force, like you very much see it. But you go out to these bars and clubs, and most people are taking photos of their life to portray that they're having a good time.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm great. And then they'll just go back on the phone.
Yeah.
They're not chatting, they're not conversing, they're not meeting people. Some people do that, but I think it's important for us to remember that people only show you what they want you to see.
Yeah.
Because this happens all the time. When you see a couple online, traveling the world, doing all this, they're like, they're having the best lives.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they've broken up.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, hold on. You literally posted
the struggles
3
behind
days
this
ago.
Luxury post that they're
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you think a girl seeing a guy who can provide that lifestyle makes her take him more seriously long term?
I think it will get a girl quicker straight away.
Yep.
But long term, it depends on how they're treated though. Because if, like you said, you don't know what's going on between these luxury posts that everyone's putting up about this perfect life that they're having.
Yeah.
So I think quickly to get a woman, it's an easier way.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it depends on what that person's like. Because that woman might not stick around if it's not really a perfect life.
Do you think she'll stick around if the connection is mediocre but the lifestyle is top notch?
I think some women would, not many, but I think some women that would just happily settle for something like that and just give up in life.
What would you rather choose? A mediocre lifestyle but an intense connection? Or a top lifestyle but a very mediocre kind of relationship?
Intense connection. Yeah, because I feel like, so if you've got an intense connection with someone, you haven't got much money, you're sat on the sofa, for example, I'm with a guy, I've got this intense connection with them, you forget about all your problems. Whereas when you go out and doing that luxury stuff and you go home with your partner and you're just not getting on, it gets so toxic and you get miserable. Yeah.
I think that meaning is where we find fulfillment.
Yeah.
I was shooting this film a few years ago and we were shooting in Ghana. And we were shooting in Tamale, which is like a small village in northern Ghana. And the locals, right, not only were they so welcoming, but they had next to nothing in comparison to what we have.
Yeah.
Like literally it was just huts made of clay and straw, the clothes on their back, right? Some of them had to walk a few miles to get water for their family. But when I tell you, these were some of the happiest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
They were way happier than anyone that I'd come across in the UK. And they had next to nothing.
Yeah.
And I think a big reason of that is because what enriches life is connection.
Yeah.
Relationships. Everything that they did, the reason they would go get water from several miles away was so their family and their friends could drink. The reason they would go do the crops early in the morning, at daybreak, was so that their family and their friends could eat. Everything had meaning.
Yeah.
And everything that they did was a level of contribution to the relationships that they had in their lives. And they were so happy.
Yeah.
And they were so
grateful.
welcoming. Yeah.
I feel like people in Britain, for example, they have become very ungrateful for a lot of things.
I think we are very ungrateful, but and I agree. And I think we need to change that mindset. But I think a big part of it is because we expect this to make us happy. And it doesn't.
No.
It's this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So while these girls may be going to Dubai, living this lavish lifestyle, we always acclimatize.
The novelty wears off eventually.
The novelty wears off.
You get like a Range Rover and you're all excited and you want to go show it off and you're driving it around. A year later, you're like, oh, I want a Range Rover SVR now. You want more and more and more. Whereas if you build just a connection with a person, that will never wear off. If you've got
have you ever had that in your dating life where you dated a guy and you're like, yeah, but this guy is this and I'd rather, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what was the metric for you?
So I was in a relationship for about 3 years and he didn't treat me very nicely. I felt quite trapped in it. He was quite an abusive man. Right. And then along came this guy that kept interfering in our relationship. He kept coming, he wasn't quite stalking me, but he kept coming into my workplace all the time. He's trying to get for me.
That's stalking, yeah.
And he's trying to get my attention. And he just wouldn't leave me alone. And then I managed
And he knew you in a relationship?
I was in a relationship.
Did he know that?
Yes.
Right, okay.
So I thought, well, I broke up with the guy that I was with.
After 3 years?
After 3 years, because I just didn't want to put up with the way he's treating me.
Sure.
We had a house together, so it's quite difficult just to sell up and get rid of everything and start again.
Yeah.
And then along this guy came that had been coming over to my shop to try and get my attention all the time. And he ended up being my long-term relationship, the guy that I was with for 6 years.
No way.
Yeah. So, and I was like kind of edging towards him while I was in this toxic relationship. Anyway, because he was just so different and he was quite an infectious person. So I was just drawn to him. And as soon as I got out of that relationship, within 2 days, I would just literally jump straight in immediately into a relationship with this other guy.
You didn't give yourself any time?
I kind of got to know him a little bit when he's coming into my workplace and trying to talk to me it was going on for about 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So
would you say go on.
Kind of got to know him a little bit then.
Would you say you kind of checked out of your relationship months before that?
Months before that, like a year before that.
Wow. So you checked out a year before, but only ended things a year after. Why did it take so long for you to end it?
So my child was only 5 years old at the time.
Right.
And I just thought, who's going to want a single mum? I've got a 5-year-old child. No one's going to want me.
Right.
And then this guy just came along and he didn't care. He just wanted to look after us.
Yeah. I hear that. What's something you want to ask? What's another thing you want to bring to conversation?
I'm trying to think now.
You can look at your notes.
Can I look at my notes?
Yeah, of course. This isn't a test.
I think I've pretty much discussed all that.
Yeah.
Most people are saying before.
We love it when a guest is prepared, guys.
That's literally we've discussed all of that. That's
we love
like
it.
a whole page.
Okay, let me ask you something. Are double standards ever okay?
No.
Never?
Never. I can't stand double standards.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think you have any double standards?
No. I always think of being in their shoes, always, before I do anything. If I don't agree with something, I'd make sure I wouldn't be doing that if I don't agree with something that someone else does.
I get that. So the kind of relationship you want, would you be happy with a 50-50 relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would you, if you're in a position of success and you meet a guy that you have a good connection with, would you be happy to provide for him?
It would have to be 50-50. So we'd both provide equally.
Okay.
I would never want to provide completely for him because that
What
that
about
just puts me off.
80-20?
No.
You're 80, he's 20.
No. No.
That's okay. I mean, we all have some double standards though.
I feel like they treat you more as like a mum otherwise. So say if you're like providing for them
Yeah.
and you're like doing all the food shopping, you're doing everything for them, they may as well just be the housewife.
Well,
So
yeah, I mean, that's what women have been for decades, centuries.
So I think at least 50-50 or the woman stays a housewife.
Okay, like you're just providing 80 in terms of financially, but you know, sometimes you do the shopping, he does shopping.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're like, nah, it's got to be 50-50.
Yeah, at least.
What about 80-20 him for you?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm not the type of person to give up everything anyway.
Not give up everything.
So, say if he was a successful man and he was bringing most of the money in and he was like, look, you don't have to work if you don't want to. I wouldn't say, no, I'm not going to work. I still continue to work, but I take a step back from working a little bit.
Okay. I guess what I mean is, for example, every time that you guys spend time together, he is providing. Yeah. So, you know, if you live by yourself, he's not like paying for your mortgage or anything.
Yeah.
But if you spend time with him, when you guys go out, he covers everything. If you go on holiday, he covers everything. So it's like when you guys are together as a couple, he is basically providing for that. Not when you're like separate. He's not saying, hey, I want you to quit your job.
Yeah.
So I mean, in that sense. So it's like the more time you spend with him, the more he ends up providing for you. Would you do that?
Yeah. I would.
Of course. Of course. Well, that's a double standard.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because you're like, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't let a guy do that. I wouldn't do that for a guy, but I'd let a guy do that for me. That's a double standard.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is double standard.
But that's okay. We just look for different things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like if it was, say, I don't ever want you to go on a night out. Or I don't know, something like that, for example. But they go out. That's double standard. That's a double standard that I don't like.
That is a double standard, but you know why it is different when men and women go out though. Do you know what I mean? What
do men think that women get up to on nights out?
Entertaining attention from other men.
No. So incorrect.
I think not all the time.
Yeah. Some do.
Some do, but that is the environment that happens the most.
Yeah.
And so when guys think, oh, my girl's going out, that's not saying guys should be like, you can't go out, right? I don't have an issue. But for those guys who do, they're like, well, you're going out where guys are going to be trying to get you drunk, trying to buy you drinks. You're probably going to be looking really hot and sexy and stuff. Maybe you're going to be showing a lot of skin, right? And there could be other guys at the club that are better than him, that you may think is better than him. And we literally just said, oh, why do we think people struggle with marriages? It's because everybody's comparing themselves to everyone else.
Yeah.
Now, ultimately, like my mindset is, look, if I know what we have, right? And if you going out and meeting some random guy is enough to sway that from what we have, then the sooner I know that, the better. That's just my attitude towards it, right? So that's why I don't have any qualms about it. But that's what guys think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that they assume women doll up to the max to go on a night out as well because they want to impress men. But they actually don't. They're competing against other women, if anything. They make themselves look good for other women.
I agree. But I think the reason, and tell me what you think, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the reason that women spend so much effort going out, looking nice when they go out, is because being attractive in a social environment gives you status. And it especially gives you status, it gives you more status amongst other women when men validate that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can be in a happy, loving relationship, but when you go out, it gives you status if every guy in that club wants you. Not just with men, but also with women.
Yeah.
So you know how you're like, when you go out with your girlfriends and the guys were hitting your girlfriends, but not you, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why? Because it makes you feel lower. It makes you feel lower status than you feel that you are. So you're like, tell me why guys won't hit on me. And they're like, it's because you're too high in our eyes. That's why we can't come to you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But before you knew that, it made you feel lower status than them.
Yeah.
So part of gaining the status in a social environment is getting validation from other men. And that's what men don't like.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not because you're trying to get with those men. It's not because you're trying to replace him, right? There are some girls who be like, I've had an argument.
Worried that women feel better about themselves getting validation from strange men rather than their own partner?
I think they're worried about gaining an appetite for that level of validation when he feels that his validation should be enough for you.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you're with me, it's like, if I ask you, the guy you were in a relationship with, very loving, right? Because you get a lot of validation online, right? From people, guys especially.
Yeah.
Would you rather choose the validation from him or every other guy on the planet?
Him.
Exactly. So guys are like, why would you want validation from other men when I give you it? But we live in an attention economy now.
Yeah. I feel like if you're not in a very happy relationship and you go out clubbing and you get loads of validation, that's when it feels good. But I feel like if you're in a very happy, content relationship, if you get validation from other men, it goes in one, you're not the other, and you're like, my man tells me that all the time.
Yeah, I think that is true to a certain extent. But then I have seen women in relationships, if they've been in long-term relationships, where they don't want any other guy, but they just want to know that
they still got it.
Yeah. Like, do you know who Steph Curry is, basketball player? No? Okay, so he's like, all the guys, any guys watching this could be like, why the fuck, how do you not know Steph Curry? So he's like one of the best shooters in basketball right now.
Yeah.
Right? His wife, Ayesha Curry, they've been together for years, loving family, children, everything. He is one of the best players in the NBA. She has the perfect life. She's got the high value man who's in the best in his field. She's got the kids, got the ring, got the house. And several times over the past few years, right, she's gotten upset because guys don't try and hit on her because she doesn't get attention from other men. Because she's like, oh, he gets attention from women all the time. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And it's like, with all due respect, babe, he gets attention because he's an MVP NBA player. Like, the reason you're in those circles is because of him.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
I can see where she's coming from, because obviously she feels like he's on like a level up there.
Yeah,
and it will make you feel like no one wants to feel like they're below their partner.
Yeah, but the irony is that women in general date across and up hierarchy. Most women want to choose a guy above them anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you can't choose a guy up there and then expect him not to get that attention. That's what comes with it, right? But also another reason that guys won't hit on her is because they respect him. Because he's a good, integral guy who's one of the best at what he does, right? And as far as I know, I could be wrong because I don't know the relationship, but as far as I know, he's probably one of the only NBA players who's faithful to his wife, who's utterly in love with his wife, right? And is exclusive to her, has been for years. And so guys are like, I have a lot of respect for this man. There's no way I'm going to try and hit on his wife. Yeah. And it's not just the men around him, but it's also men who are a fan of basketball. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So some women can still want attention just to know they still got it. Just to know that, oh, if I wanted to, and sometimes guys do it. I'm not going to lie. But the difference is guys don't get girls asking to buy them drinks.
Well, I don't know, these days.
Well, I mean, it's only I can count on one hand how many times it happened to me, but maybe I'm just not that fortunate.
I've gone on 2 dates already and they're like, can I transfer the money over to your bank account because I haven't got my bank cards? I'm like, I'll just pay for it all myself. I'm not doing that.
If a guy doesn't pay for the first date, does that say anything about him to you?
Not really, no. Like, I don't mind going halves, or I'm not really quite judgmental like that.
Okay.
As long as they're a nice, genuine person, I can tell they're a good person. Yeah. Then how much money they spend on you doesn't matter to me.
But they do have to be on a certain level with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you do a coffee date?
Yeah.
First date?
Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah? How'd that go?
It was actually nice. It was quite a nice environment because it's more quiet. It's not the clubby or like in a restaurant you're drinking loads of alcohol. You're just going for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, that's so true.
It was quite nice and I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I spoke more with that person more than any other person on a date.
See, this is why I say coffee dates are the best, because you're both sober, chilled environment.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You remember the conversation.
You remember the conversation.
You know what they look like. You know how big goggles on.
Now big goggles on, all of this stuff. What's one thing you wish men knew about women before trying to take them out?
Don't give them false hopes if you're just wanting to use them. Yeah. Just be honest straight away.
But do you think, I'm not saying guys shouldn't be honest, but even if you were looking for something casual as a woman, if a guy was just like, hey, I'm just in it for something fun with you, doesn't that come across as quite crude, even if that's what you're looking for? Isn't there an element of not game playing, but isn't there an element of like a dance?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You kind of don't really like, they can vocalize it and say, just to let you know, it'd be really nice to get to know you, but currently I'm not looking for anything serious.
Yeah.
If it happens, it happens. If we don't vibe, then we'll just leave it there.
Yeah, 100%.
Like they kind of need to vocalize it a little bit that they're not looking for anything serious. But then you might not be looking for anything serious, and then you go on a date with that person, you accidentally catch feelings, and sometimes it does go somewhere.
Very true. Very true. Or sometimes, you know, have you ever dated a guy thinking, oh, this could go somewhere, and then you realize, nah,
Yeah.
it's just a casual thing for me.
Yeah. It's been some beautiful men gone on dates with. They are stunning. And I thought, oh God, I'd love to just take him home and keep him forever.
Yeah.
And then I go on a date and they start talking. I'm like, no.
You're like, no chance.
Oh no, hell no.
Yeah. And I think that can happen with guys. He's open to seeing where it goes with a girl.
Yeah.
Then he goes on a few dates and it's like, I'm really attracted to her, but I don't really see this long term.
Yeah.
But then it can be, guys should always be honest. People should always be honest, right? So he shouldn't lie.
Yeah.
But if she has expressed that she's looking for something serious and he's been on several dates with her, maybe he's even had sex with her and he's like, she's cool, but she's not really what I'm looking for long term.
Yeah.
It can be hard to then say, hey, I was open to something serious, but I've realized you're not really what I'm looking for. So we're just going to leave it.
So I prefer that just straight to the point. Otherwise, you're sat at home because they end up ghosting you instead of vocalizing. Nice. And you're sat there thinking, is there something wrong with you? Like, have you done something wrong? Have you said something wrong? Or are you not just good enough for people because they keep ghosting you? Whereas if people just vocalize and just say, look, I enjoyed my time with you. I think you're very beautiful, but we just don't connect. So we'll just leave it there.
Have you ever had a guy where, when you say he's ghosted you, like you've not heard from him for about a week, 2 weeks, but then he messages you again?
Yeah.
And what does he message you to hang out? Like, he's like, hey stranger, what are you up to this weekend?
Red flag.
Okay, so I know what that is. It's not that he's ghosting you.
Yeah.
He didn't message you for those 2 weeks. He's not ghosting you. I'm guessing at that point,
it's
when that's happened.
It's hanging you by a thread. So when he wants you, it's like he's kind of like letting you know he's still there. Yeah. So he can grab you when he wants and then just disappear when he just...
So I'm guessing at that point, you guys have already had sex. Yeah. So it's because, at least in his head, he's like, okay, she's now a sexual option for me. So the work is done, essentially, in his head.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? He's like, all the talking, all the conversing, all of that stuff for him in his head is like getting you to the point that you are available sexually to him.
Yeah.
And then once you are... he's like, well, I don't need to work because I've already got her to that point. So you don't hear from him for a week or two. And then he messages you like, hey, gorgeous, I haven't heard from you for a couple of weeks. Let's go out. Miss you.
Get it all the time.
Yeah. And so how do you respond to that?
I just go like that and go, ugh, not again.
Really?
I'm not falling for that anymore.
Well, what if can I make a suggestion? If that's a guy who you think there could be something potential with, what if you responded saying, hey stranger, I'd almost forgotten about you. It'd be nice to see you, but dinner is on you.
No, that sounds good.
I think what that response does is the first part, you said, oh, I've almost forgotten about you. You've implied that you've not been constantly thinking about him. You have a life.
Yeah.
Right? The second thing that says is you said, oh, I'm still open to seeing you.
Yeah.
Or rather you say, what a blast from the past. You're acknowledging the fact that he has not messaged you. You're addressing it. Like, I've not heard from you, right? But you're saying it in a way that is very, you're finessing how you're saying it.
Yeah.
And then my favorite part of saying that is, sure, we can meet, but dinner is on you. You're saying, I'm open to this, but you need to show me a level of effort and investment. Because that's my standard. So next time a guy does that, try it. See what happens.
I'll drop them that message.
Drop them that message, girl.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Let me know how it goes. Listen, we appreciate you so much for traveling all this way to share your energy with us, right? We appreciate your time. Where can people find you if they want to find you on socials?
So I'm on Instagram, Carmen Rouse _official.
Cool.
And I'm also on TikTok down as Carmen Rouse as well.
Yeah. Is there any content you want to promote to the audience? Any?
What can it be? PG content?
Any kind of content?
Any content at all?
Is there any content you want to promote?
OnlyFans.
She's got OnlyFans there. There we go. She's on it. So subscribe though. If you're trying to get into her DMs and actually take her out, probably not the best route.
No.
Probably not the best route. She probably won't take you seriously from that part. She just see you as a...
And stop being scared of me, because I'm not going to bite.
You just saw. She's a lovely, friendly person. Right?
It's more attractive if you grow some balls and just approach me.
She's like, don't be intimidated. Grow some fucking balls.
They're like, oh God, no.
They're like, oh shit. Well, we appreciate you coming on. Thanks for coming this way. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Go show Carmen some love. Give us some likes. Give us some follows. If you want to, see what's under there, you can subscribe to our OnlyFans. And if you want to take her out, bro, just have some balls. You heard it from the horse's mouth. But thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode.